Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to make some rosemary herb bread. We are going to take some shortcuts and use our quick cooker to help proof it. So let's get started. Whenever you're baking bread, and baking in general, weighing your flour is a really good idea. So I've already done that. I've got 18 ounces of all-purpose flour here. I'm a big fan of the King Arthur flour. I get great results with that, so that's what I'm using. And to this, we're gonna add just some basic ingredients. I've got half a teaspoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, and I like to use kosher salt when I'm baking. You're gonna add a package of active dry yeast. And I always buy the jar and store it in the freezer. And so if you're doing that, you need 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Now make sure that the yeast you're using, that the date is still good. So if you don't make a lot of bread, it doesn't make sense for you to buy a jar. Get the little packets and then you can use what you need. I make it enough between pizza crust and all that, that's how much we need. I need a half a cup of Parmesan. This is a really delicious bread with Parmesan and rosemary, really wonderful flavors. So we need a half a cup of that. And then I've got some fresh rosemary. If you don't have this, you can use some of our rosemary herb seasoning, but rosemary looks like this. And you can chop it up with a knife if you like, or you can use our herb keeper. So I'm gonna show you how to fill it. When you're using rosemary, you don't need the wooden stalks in between. So if you just hold it gently, you can kind of pull all of your herbs off of your stalk, just like that. So just add it in. And then these are kind of fun to use as skewers if you are grilling, just for an interesting flavor. Okay, so we need to add about a half a teaspoon of the minced rosemary. I've got more than that here for sure. So I'm just gonna kind of give a quick measure. That looks about right. So we'll add that in there. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and stir everything up before you add your liquid. And that will give you a much better mix when you're ready. All right, and let's see here. We need, just want to double check my measurements here. We need 1.5 cups of water. So you want your water to not be too hot because you don't want to kill your yeast. And it's fine if it's on the cooler side. It'll just take a little bit longer to rise. So I've got my 1.5 cups of water. Just gonna go ahead and mix it. Now you can knead your bread, but I'm gonna do a no knead version where I'm just gonna mix everything up and we're just gonna let it rise on its own. This will give you just as good of result. So you just wanna mix it up until you don't have any more flour bits on your bowl. So at this point, I'm just gonna use my hands. There's something kind of fun about kneading the dough. And you can just knead it for a little bit until it feels like all of your dry ingredients and your water are all mixed up. Now, as you're touching it, you will feel it feels just a touch gritty almost. That is your cheese that's in there. And your rosemary, of course, will give you a little bit of that. Okay, so this is feeling kind of sticky. Perfect. So at this point, what you could do is cover it and let it sit at room temperature for 1 to 2 hours until it doubles. So in this size bowl, it's gonna fill most of your bowl. That would take 1 to 2 hours. Now, to take a shortcut, you can use your quick cooker. So just take a little bit of olive oil and drizzle it in your pot. And this is just gonna help keep it from drying out as well as not sticking too much to your bowl. Let's go ahead. And remember, your dough is going to rise, so you wanna go ahead and brush up the edges up to about the middle part of your bowl. There we go. Now add your blob of dough and then turn it, and that means your bottom and your top are oiled, okay? Just like that. So we are gonna use the proof setting on the quick cooker. So this is not going to come up to pressure at all. So we're just going to stick the lid on, turn the dial until proof lights up, and it goes for 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes time, this will have doubled and we'll be ready for the next step. The dough has been rising now for about 30 minutes under the proof setting. If you're not using the quick cooker, remember 1 to 2 hours on the countertop. So let's take a look together. It has doubled in size. And take a look at all that nice dough. And it smells good. If you like that smell of yeasty dough, it smells, just takes me back to my childhood. My mom used to bake bread a lot when I was a kid. So let's go ahead and just flip it all out. It's going to rise again. So we're gonna bring it onto the mat. So it comes out pretty well because it was oiled before. Go ahead and flour your hands. And then you're just going to basically turn it under itself. So the dough feels kind of warm from the proofing. So you see, I'm just kind of pushing it underneath. And as you do that, you will notice that the top of your bread will start to smooth out. If your hands get sticky, just kind of do it again. There we go. All right, this has to rise one more time. This time I'm going to put it on a piece of parchment paper. So just bring it into the center of your parchment, just like this. And then you're going to drizzle a bit of olive oil over the top. You can use a brush or just take your hands and just kind of very lightly, don't push hard, just go ahead and give your dough a little bit of a massage. It's all covered. And now you're going to set it back in the original bowl that you mixed it in. So just pick up the edges of your paper and let it rest in the bowl for another 1 to 2 hours until it doubles again. You want to cover it with a clean dish towel or tea towel, and we'll wait for it to rise one more time. The parchment that it's sitting on is going to be transferred to the hot Dutch oven when it's ready for the next step. So let's let it rest and we'll be back in a little while. Our second rise is all set. Let's take a look together. So what I also did is I have my enameled Dutch oven. It has been in the oven at 450 degrees for a half an hour, so it's nice and hot. So let's finish this bread. We're gonna season it. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful. It really rose well. So what we'll do here is we're gonna brush it with a little bit of olive oil. And again, this is gonna create that nice artisan bread feel. And glue. And I have the Parmesan cheese that was grated coarsely. I'm gonna go ahead and add a nice sprinkling on top. This is gonna get nice and golden and delicious. And then I have some more of the rosemary. Just add a little sprinkle of this. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a quick snip to the top. So you can do this with some sharp scissors. Whoops. There we go. You can use some sharp scissors or a knife. I like to use scissors, so just put your tips right in the bread, quick snip, and it's gonna help it rise nicely. Okay, now pick up the corners of your parchment, lift, set it right inside your baker. So we're gonna go ahead and put the cover, whoops, there we go, put the cover on. And this is super hot. So now I'm gonna pop it into the oven and we are gonna bake for 25 minutes with the lid on, and then we'll take the lid off for about another 15 minutes till it's perfectly golden. I'll show you when we're finished.